Egypt is backing off in Somalia. Egypt tried to establish its military presence in Somalia to put pressure upon Ethiopia, but it seems that Egyptian strategy to use Somalia as a staging ground for putting pressure on Ethiopia is failing. Welcome to my views and news. Thanks for watching the channel. Good to be with you. Two main news stories in this video. Firstly, Egypt is reluctant to fight on front lines in Somalia. What will be the impact of this Egyptian reluctance on Egyptian efforts to reactivate trilateral alliance against Ethiopia? Secondly, justice, it seems, has been served in Tigray. Let's talk about the justice served in Tigray first. 2 years ago, a 32-year-old woman was killed in Mekelle. Zewdu Haftu was the name of this woman. I did a video on that. I did several videos on the death of Zewdu Haftu. Sarah did some videos too. Several news outlets did videos. Women protested. Zewdu was in Mekelle. She was walking along a road in Mekelle along with her friend Samuel when allegedly perpetrators tried to abduct her. They dragged her with the vehicle. They wanted to put her into the vehicle. She resisted, and they caught hold of her hair and they just dragged her along the vehicle, and then the vehicle ran over Haftu, Zewdu Haftu, and she died. One of the two perpetrators is the son of a senior police officer in Tigray. That is why eyewitness Zewdu Haftu's friend Samuel was arrested, and she had to serve. She was put in prison for several months. For around 9 months, she was kept in prison. Tigrayan women, NGOs, diaspora protested. They wanted justice to be served in the case of Zewdu Haftu. Two defendants were defending Yarid and Engesom. A few days ago, when a court in Mekelle was due to announce verdict in this case, family of one of the defendants stormed the court. The judge was not allowed to read the verdict, and after that, courts went on strike in Mekelle. I read on that. Today, a court in Mekelle announced a verdict. Yarid and Engesom, the two defendants, have been found involved in the murder of Zewdu Haftu. The court has sentenced them to life imprisonment. The decision is being seen as a big win for justice in Tigray, but this verdict was not possible if diaspora, news outlets, women, NGOs had not taken up this issue. Courts are very weak. Judges are weak in Tigray, in other parts of Ethiopia too. Now, verdict has come. Will it be implemented? Will there be appeal? How long will Yarid and Engesom remain in prison? That remains to be seen. Overall, pressure worked. Pressure worked. Otherwise, court orders are violated in Tigray. You know what happened in the case of female Muslim students of Aksum? Schools banned them from entering school premises. A court gave verdict in the favor of female students, but still the court order was not implemented. Rather, the judge who gave the verdict, he was transferred and a new judge was appointed. So court orders are violated uh, publicly, openly. This time, since the issue has been highlighted on international level, the court had to give a verdict uh, against the defendants. Secondly, viewers, Egypt is backing off in Somalia. Egypt, which formed a tripartite alliance against Ethiopia last year, with Somalia, Egypt, and Eritrea as members of this alliance, has been trying to gain a foothold, military foothold in Ethiopian neighborhood. It made considerable progress last year when it secured a role in peacekeeping mission in Somalia. Uh, Ethiopia was opposed to Egyptian military entry in Somalia. Last year, Ethiopia-Somalia tensions were high. Ethiopia wanted to implement MOU with Somaliland. Egypt took advantage of the situation and reached an agreement with Somalia to deploy its forces as peacekeepers in Somalia. Ethiopia opposed the decision. Egypt wanted Ethiopian troops to be kicked out of Somalia. But Ethiopia-Somalia relations improved after Ethiopia froze MOU with Somaliland and entered into talks with Somalia under the auspices of Turkey, though talks have collapsed. And there are fears that once again we could see resumption of Ethiopia-Somalia tensions. And that is why Egypt invited Hassan Sheikh, the president of Somalia, to Egypt 2 days ago, where Hassan Sheikh met with Al-Sisi, and Egypt announced to continue backing, arming, training Somalia's forces. But what happened to the deployment of Egyptian military in Somalia? In Somalia, we know that security situation has been deteriorating. In recent months, Al-Shabaab fighters tried to march towards Mogadishu through Middle Shabelle. Burundi's troops, Ethiopian troops fought on front lines. Somalia's forces are also fighting on front lines. Egypt wanted Ethiopian troops to be kicked out of Somalia. It did not happen, firstly. Secondly, it wanted its troops to be several thousand in Somalia. It only got assurance about deployment of 1,091 soldiers from Egypt to Somalia. So the number, according to Egypt, was not very big. Thirdly, Egypt wanted its soldiers to be deployed in Somalia-Ethiopia border areas. It basically wanted to put pressure upon Ethiopia. Ethiopia rejected the deployment of Egyptian military forces in border areas. It asked Somalia to deploy Egyptian troops to Middle Shabelle, which is the center of conflict between Al-Shabaab and these African Union peacekeepers. Egypt has not deployed its 1,091 soldiers to Somalia so far. Only a few dozen have been deployed or reported. Burundi's troops were to leave Somalia had Egyptian troops enter Somalia. But Burundi's troops are still in Somalia. Their mandate is being extended for 6 months. Egyptian troops were due to arrive in Somalia at the start of this year. But and Burundi's troops were due to leave. Burundi's troops are still in Somalia. Egyptian troops have not arrived. Now the mandate of Burundi's troops is being extended. Egypt not willing to deploy its troops to Middle Shabelle, which is the center of conflict. So Egypt is backing off. Ethiopian troops are fighting there in Middle Shabelle. Burundi's troops to Ugandan troops as well. Egypt wants to be a beneficiary of Ethiopia-Somalia tensions while being reluctant to take any risks. That is why its strategy is not working. Somalia knows very well that it needs Ethiopia, it needs Ethiopian support. At the same time, Somalia won't allow Ethiopia to implement MOU with Somaliland. So Ethiopia now, Ethiopia is in talks with Somaliland to reactivate MOU. Egypt wooing Somalia. At the same time, Egypt reluctant to play a main role in Somalia to protect Somalia's government. Overall, we can say Egypt has backed off in Somalia. Yes, its relation with Hassan Sheikh government still ongoing, but its efforts, its plan rather, to gain a military foothold, permanent military foothold in Somalia has failed. Why? Because Egypt does not want to take any risks. Thank you for watching.